Nigeria's rising COVID-19 infections continue on Wednesday as NCDC reports more cases. Total now stands at 22,020. Party disunity festers in the All Progressives Congress APC as President attends and National Working Committee shuns Gaidom's NEC meeting. In international news, record increases in new COVID-19 cases reported in 26 U.S. states. And in sport, Champions Cup, Challenge Cup finals scheduled for October.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. The coronavirus pandemic is not letting up in Nigeria. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control has reported 649 new cases on Wednesday night. This pushes up the total number of infections in the country to 22,020. Lagos showed 250 of the new cases. Oyo followed with 100. NCDC also announced 542 deaths related to the virus. The emergency meeting of the National Executive Committee of the All Progressives Congress has taken place in Abuja with President Muhammadu Buhari in attendance. The meeting was convened by Victor Gaidom, one of the two new factionalized acting national chairman of the party, but one recognized by the president. All was not well as the Abiola Ajimobi-led National Working Committee of the party rejected an invitation to participate in the meeting. The group released a statement that President Buhari was wrongly advised, but the president said the law was on Gaidom's side. At the meeting held by video conferencing, the president advised members of the governing party APC to withdraw all pending litigations against one another and aim for internal resolutions. He warned that festering disagreements could destroy the party and that what the party had gained so far could be reversed if conflicts are allowed to overshadow the primary objective of service to the people. The president said shifting loyalty within the party and inconsistency in leadership have led to mockery of the party. He said it is clear the party is starting to self-destruct. After adopting all recommendations by the president, the National Working Committee, led by Adams Oshomole, was dissolved. A caretaker extraordinary convention committee was, and Yobe State Governor Mai Mama Buni was appointed as its chairman. Buni was immediately sworn in by Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami. Ghana's Foreign Affairs Minister says the country will reconstruct a building demolished inside the Nigerian High Commission compound in Accra. An article posted on the Nigerian High Commission website in Ghana says a businessman who had previously claimed that he owned the land where the building was being constructed had led the demolition operation and destroyed Nigerian buildings under construction as armed men reportedly stormed the compound on Saturday. Authorities say 2 persons had been arrested over the incident. Ghanaian Foreign Minister Shirley Ayoku Bochuen said the government would restore the building to its original state as soon as possible. She added that the High Commission will be issued with a title deed for the land. Bochwe said Ghana was committed to ensuring the safety of members of the diplomatic corps and calm tension between the two countries. Nigerian presidency said in a statement on Tuesday, Ghana President Nana Akufo-Addo has apologized to President Muhammadu Buhari in a telephone conversation. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning Zainab Ahmed has announced the Federal Executive Council has approved more than 2 trillion naira for COVID-19 stimulus plan that is to support the economy in the midst of coronavirus pandemic. The Economic Sustainability Committee, led by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, recommended that the plan be approved. The minister said the decision was reached during an FEC virtual meeting over which the president presided. The minister said the whole plan would enable the government to respond to the triple problem of the low exchange rate, youth unemployment, and negative growth the country now faces. She also said the plan would provide support for small businesses that have been negatively impacted by coronavirus lockdowns. As the new coronavirus bears down on the country and economic activities lag, the nation is looking inwards to improve its lot. So it has decided to revive the tourism industry by promoting domestic tourism. Correspondent Kelechi Mekalam reports.
It's usually a hive of activities at this kayaking recreational facility in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, a major attraction for local and foreign tourists. But that was before the government issued a travel ban. Mariam Yakubu runs the facility.
Being a new dimension to entertainment, we are also introducing it to people because it's not a known sports activity, you know. So we are also introducing it to people, and then as we do the business, so it's looking good until this our lockdown, which means when they reopen again, we have to start all over again.
The travel sector has been hit hard by travel restrictions and mandatory lockdown. The industry has lost an estimated $465 million. With the economy on the verge of collapse, Nigeria is looking to leverage on domestic tourism to strengthen the travel sector.
Now, for us to get out of this, we need to first embrace domestic tourism. We look into what we have, our destination, our heritages, our culture. When we begin to showcase all those destinations, then gradually the economy will pick up. Because, for example, let's look into Osun Osogbo Festival. Let's look at Olumoro. Let's look at some destinations, tourism sites that we have, like the ancient wall of Kano. If we begin to take tourists to those destinations and we charge them little token, then people, the local people in that community will make money.
According to the National Bureau of Statistics, tourism accounted for 34% of Nigeria's GDP and 20% of the country's employment creation in 2017. In spite of its potential, domestic tourism has remained untapped. As Nigeria gradually eases its lockdown, government would be looking towards encouraging domestic tourists who are identified as crucial to kickstart the sector.
Coming up, African news. South Africa's unemployment rate rises to a whopping 30% in first quarter. And later, international news. Record increases in new Covid-19 cases reported in 26 U.S. states.
You are watching ANN. Somewhere in the world, every second of the day, news is happening. And of course, Nigeria is bustling with news day and night. That is why ANN doesn't sleep. Our eyes are peeled, wide open, so no story escapes our radar. We stay abreast of world events and happenings at home. We keep you up to the minute in the world of sports. We give you information to stay on top of your investments and all the hard facts you'll need to navigate your day. If you miss us on air, you can keep up to date on our website and on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. We are ANN, Africa News Network. We do news right in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Statistics South Africa says the country's unemployment numbers have continued to swell through the first quarter of this year. Stats SA says the unemployment wave in the country has turned into a tsunami as more than 1/3 of the population is unemployed. Sumitra Undu has the details.
The first quarter jobless numbers came as no surprise. South Africa's unemployment rate has been ticking up in recent years with no sign of abating.
This is what we have been expecting. If you look at the GDP numbers for the fourth quarter of 2019, I mean, they were very bleak. And since then, things have been on a downward spiral. I mean, we've been in a recession long before the lockdown.
But many experts have blamed the stringent labor laws for the rising unemployment numbers. A number of organizations, including the rating agencies, called for more flexibility to get people into jobs. Government interventions have done little to help. What's alarming about these numbers is that it accounted for the first 3 months of this year before the lockdown took effect at the end of March. The worry now is that the second quarter's numbers will show a complete bloodbath.
Employment can only be created by enterprises that are economically active. And we were already having a difficulty in this regard with the economic growth rate around 1%. We need a growth rate of 5% and above. So this was already a challenge that we were having.
It's not clear whether government will revise its plans for job creation or do a complete overhaul together with structural reforms in order to stop this rate from going any higher.
So what you need to do is to define your role as a government to say, in this critical situation, as we have seen in the US, when their auto sector imploded in 2008, their own government came in and took over General Motors and allowed all of these companies to operate until they were able to stand on their own 2 feet. So we need a South African government with a political will that is going to realize that you are not outsourcing your problems to the private sector. As a government, you have to define your role and make sure that you do it and you do it fast.
The balance between economic activity on the one hand and limiting the impact of the spread of COVID on the other has been a really difficult balance for the government. As the government focuses on resuming economic growth across many sectors, key focus must be on those sectors that are going to give us the biggest dividends in terms of employment creation. And the numbers tell us that agriculture, mining, utilities, transport, trade.
Finance Minister Tito Mboweni is expected to table a new budget this week. Whether there will be a plan for serious job creation remains to be seen.
African Development Bank researchers said in a report last year that African universities have been producing too many graduates with costly degrees and diplomas, but that the graduates lack the skills that are necessary in the 21st century labor market. As Daniel Kijo reports, this is the source of the problem in Tanzania, where graduates are struggling to find jobs.
Graduation ceremonies are filled with joy and a sigh of relief for having made it to the podium. But graduates like Zena Jumbe have now done 5 interviews without landing a job. Despite having graduated with a high score, she says she lacked confidence and communication skills. A year after graduating, her lack of job is causing stress and unhappiness.
I studied with financial constraints, with expectations that I will get a job after graduating, so I can help my siblings with school and help my family as well. So it is really affecting me.
Zena has now started training at Tanzania Enlightenment Development Innovations, or TEDI, to equip herself with 21st century skills. The founder of the NGO, Gloria Anderson, says her program aims to teach computer skills, teamwork, critical thinking, and communication skills. Something she noticed was a gap in most university courses.
They were not having, the soft skills, the 21st century skills. They were not confident enough. They could not present themselves. They could not show the employers that they can really add value to the organizations, and that's why they were not employed.
Since it was formed in July 2019, TEDI has established clubs in primary and secondary schools and taught over 3,000 students short courses in data literacy. She now works with 4 universities and has given 21st century skills to over 4,000 university students. Despite the work that people like Gloria Anderson are doing, 65% of Tanzanians under the age of 35 are not formally educated and lack 21st century employability skills. Youth unemployment in the country runs at about 13.7%. COVID-19 has impacted employers who are looking for the very best. The competition just got more fierce. Judith Minza is the CEO of K Finance Company Limited. She knows the difficulties of getting the right employee for her microfinance business. She has now had to open an in-house training program, something that comes with a cost.
But then you're getting a raw candidate, so you have to invest back time and money to create this graduate that's who can push business for you. So it means in that time while you're training them, you're losing money, you're losing time, and you're losing business.
According to the National Bureau of Statistics, most graduates take about 5.5 years to secure a waged job. It's hoped a program like Gloria's can be upscaled so Tanzania can use its huge youth labor force to achieve its goal of being a mid-sized economy within 5 years.
Yeah.
The World Health Organization says the laboratory capacity to test for the coronavirus pandemic is now available throughout Africa. WHO head Tedros Ghebreyesus says only a dozen African countries had the ability to test at the beginning of the pandemic. He says all African countries have now developed laboratory capacity to test for the coronavirus. He warned that the number of virus cases was now increasing quickly and more protective equipment and laboratory tests were urgently needed. More than 320,000 COVID-19 cases have been confirmed in Africa. The pandemic has also claimed 8,500 lives on the continent. Head of Africa's Centers for Disease Control, John Nkegasong, has called on countries on the continent to secure sufficient vaccine supplies to avoid Africa being left out in the global vaccine race.
When we return, international news. Record increases in new COVID-19 cases reported in 26 U.S. states. And later, sport. Champions Cup, Challenge Cup finals scheduled for October.
You are watching ANN.
We are on the road every day, canvassing throughout Africa for news you really need. We follow the story everywhere, from every corner of Nigeria to the wide African expanse. We bring you what's making headlines. We connect you with news you can use. ANN, African News Network, in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. As the United States takes gradual steps in reopening its economy, New York Times reports the country recorded more than 36,000 COVID-19 new cases on Wednesday, the highest single-day number since the pandemic began. 26 U.S. states are experiencing increasing numbers of infections. California, Florida, and Arizona are reporting thousands of new cases each day. And in Texas, health authorities say new cases and hospitalizations are rising. California recorded more than 5,000 new cases on Monday. Florida announced more than 3,000 new infections, and Texas reported 5,000 cases all in a single day. President Donald Trump says the numbers are rising because of increased testing. He had said at a rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma last weekend that health providers should slow down testing. Health experts say that would be ill-advised as many more citizens would die. Meanwhile, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, along with two neighboring governors, says visitors arriving in New York, in New Jersey, and Connecticut from Florida, Texas, and other states with high COVID-19 infection rates would be subject to a 14-day quarantine. If they fail to self-isolate, they would face thousands of dollars in fines. Cuomo says his government has worked tirelessly to reduce the rate of COVID-19 infections in New York and is doing everything to ensure the numbers do not rise. New York City is gradually entering its second phase of reopening. Children are now allowed back on playgrounds. Restaurants are opening outdoor seating and barber shops are open, but all establishments are required to follow social distancing rules, and employees and customers must wear face masks. Reporter Karina Huber has the story.
After a 3-month pause, the city that never sleeps is revving up its comeback. Retailers can now offer in-store service at reduced capacity. This jewelry store owner says the 3-month shutdown was tough, but she used the time to work on her website.
We would have a weekly giveaway, we have a Friday flash sale, which is fun. So we really kind of stepped up our game in trying to be fun and keeping the interaction open.
She's confident her business will survive. This restaurant owner isn't.
Honestly, we don't know yet we are survived or not, so that's the question.
90% of his restaurant staff had to be laid off in the past 3 months. The only revenue during the lockdown came from takeout and outdoor bar service. His landlord has refused to budge on his $50,000 monthly rent. In this second phase of reopening, he can now offer outdoor dining service. It's a welcome development for many New Yorkers.
It just feels fantastic to sit at a table. I think the virus is doing us a great service in a way by teaching us to appreciate the little things in life.
Owner Fezioglu says he is taking things one day at a time.
We'll try to cover this past 3 months while we are doing the business right now, but with this capacity, it's really tough.
If New York City can continue to successfully contain the virus, phase 3 of the reopening could come as soon as early July. That would allow restaurants to offer indoor dining service at 50% capacity. Schools, recreational and entertainment businesses will have to wait a little longer until phase 4, the final phase of reopening.
Airports in Spain have restarted flights. All foreign travelers arriving in Spain must also self-isolate for 14 days upon arrival. Coronavirus cases in Spain have exceeded 200,000, and the government is not leaving anything to chances. Reporter Rahul Pashak has the story.
Tightened security and document checks. The borders are open for most European tourists, and the new measures are stringent. Every passenger that enters the airport here in Madrid is interviewed. How airports and airlines manage passenger flow and social distancing in dense public spaces like terminals will be crucial to the safety of passengers and staff alike. Here in Barajas, it's still a work in progress.
The security, you need to show your ID and your ticket, and also when you're in the line, well, the difference, you need 1 meter, etc. But also this plastic things or glass thing, I don't know the material, is quite, wow, shocking, because it changed so much.
I have fear right now because we are supposed to have a social distancing and we're supposed to wearing masks and all of that, but then we're having a flight and we're supposed to eat over there. If I'm gonna take out my mask, what I'm going to do when we have 300 people and I have 2 people by my side that I've never seen in my life.
Some airports across Europe have invested in new technology, such as computerized body temperature systems, but for others, manual checks suffice. There is confusion amongst travelers about what to expect, something that many in the industry feels needs to be addressed.
The main thing they need to do to get the consumers' confidence, get travelers confident again, is to align the measures that they're taking so that it is understood globally wherever you fly in the world that an airport procedure is going to be the same. What we can't do is have one country having certain restrictions, another country with others, because that will create confusion.
There is also a need to present a positive image from an industry that has been crippled by the pandemic. For countries like tourism-dependent Spain, some feel that has to happen sooner rather than later.
Well, as Spain reopens its borders, the traffic coming in and out of this airport will steadily increase. It's all a far cry from about a month ago when Madrid's airport resembled a giant parking lot for the world's airlines. The challenge now will be how to deal with the huge influx of passengers both quickly and, more importantly, safely.
Up next, sport. Champions Cup, Challenge Cup finals scheduled for October. Please stay with us.
You are watching ANN.
Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone or online, we are there. We have the facts behind the headlines. We cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network. ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News in Sport. British boxing heavyweights Daniel Du Bois and Joe Joyce will fight at London's O2 Arena in October as COVID-19 has forced their original July fight dates to be rescheduled. 34-year-old Joyce is unbeaten in 10 professional bouts, and British champion Du Bois has won all 14 of his professional contests. European Professional Club Rugby have announced a September schedule for the Challenge Cup and Champions Cup knockout stages. The finals will take place in October. The finals of both competitions were originally scheduled to take place in May. The EPCR said new Champions Cup and Challenge Cup formats for the 2020-2021 season were being considered as a consequence of widespread fixture disruption due to the coronavirus pandemic. That is ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Have a pleasant evening.